Welcome to the Accelerated Investor Podcast with Josh Cantwell. If you love entrepreneurship and investing in real estate, then you are in the right place. Josh is the CEO of Freeland Ventures Real Estate Private Equity and has personally invested in well over 500 properties all across the country. He's also made hundreds of private lender loans and owns over 1,000 units of apartments. Josh is an expert at raising private money for deals, and he prides himself on never having had a boss in his entire adult life. Josh and his team also mentor investors and entrepreneurs from all over the world. He doesn't dream about doing deals. He actually does them, and so do his listeners and students. Now sit back, listen, learn, and accelerate your business, your life, and your investing with the Accelerated Investor Podcast.
Hey, welcome back. Welcome back to Accelerated Investor. This is Josh Cantwell. I'm super excited to be your host. And listen, I'm just so grateful to all of you who've enjoyed the interviews that we've done so far, the podcasts that we've been sharing, some of our strategies around peak performance, and just ways to be a better investor, a more wise investor, a better entrepreneur, a better leader, and really just in enjoying sharing my journey with you to help you along your journey, to help you achieve more, invest more wisely, and have just a bigger, better, more fun and exciting life. And so today I want to start a new conversation with you around peak performance. It doesn't matter what you do. I don't care if you run a business, you run an Amazon company, a marketing agency, whether you're in health and wellness, e-com, or real estate investing, maybe you're a realtor. We'd all like to perform at a much higher level. We would all love to be able to perform faster, achieve more with less time, have more focus, be more clear about what we're trying to do and where we're going. And by having a more defined, more clear plan, that is going to allow us to achieve more, get rid of the distractions, allow us to focus on exactly what we want to accomplish in our personal and business lives, our careers. And so for the past 5 years or so at my live training events, I've delivered something called the Peak Performance Success Formula. It's a process. It's a step-by-step process that I've used, and my students and my team, my internal staff has used to perform at a really high level, building multiple 7- and 8-figure businesses, managing over $30 million of private capital, having over $100 million real estate portfolio. It's all really happened, and it's all come to fruition because my team and I are performing at a really high level. So if you're looking to perform for yourself at a much higher level, this next series of trainings, this next series in this podcast series is really going to be dynamic for you. So we're going to break this up into a couple of episodes. I'm going to start with this first one. You're going to really like it. This might be 6 episodes. It might be 8, might be 10. Not sure how we're going to break it down yet. But this peak performance success formula, I've heard from a lot of our students, a lot of our audience, a lot of people that I coach and mentor, that this has had a huge impact on their success because they're absolutely clear on what they want to accomplish. And so the first step, we call it the ACER exercise, ACER, which stands for absolute clarity of the end result. And for many of us today, we're not really sure when we wake up in the morning, or we're on our way to the office, or on our way to our business, or we're looking at a real estate deal, or we're waking up on a weekend, on a Saturday, on a Sunday, we have free time. A lot of us, I would say, are pretty guilty of kind of winging it. Like, what are we going to do today? What are we going to do tomorrow? What kind of schedule do we have? Where are we going to go? And at the end of the week, we look back and say, well, shit, I didn't really accomplish anything important. And so for all of us, what's important is different. What's important to you, what's important to me is going to be different. And all that matters is that you're clear on what you want to accomplish. And at the end of the day, we're all going to be taken away from this earth, and you're going to leave a legacy behind on what you've accomplished and what your life has meant to the world. And the question is you're going to leave behind a legacy that was purposeful, that was meaningful, that was exactly what you wanted? Or are you going to wing it and leave behind a legacy that you're not really sure exactly what that means or who you've impacted? And so I usually typically walk my audience through 3 questions that allows them to get really, really clear on what they want to accomplish. And the questions go like this. So we're in step number 1 of the peak performance success formula. And this is part of what I call the ACER exercise, absolute clarity of the end result. And this stems from my diagnosis and survival from pancreatic cancer. Back in 2011, when I was diagnosed, it was September 12th. And I remember being at the Cleveland Clinic at the hospital, talking to my doctor who originally diagnosed me, and then my oncologist who confirmed the diagnosis, and thinking, oh my God, like I'm 35 years old, and if God decides to take me from this earth today, I'm going to have a lot of regrets. A lot of things that I meant to do that I didn't get to. A lot of time that I wanted to spend with family and friends that I never did. A lot of risks that I should have taken that I never took. A lot of businesses or different things that I really wanted to accomplish that just, it just didn't happen. I wanted to make time for it, and I never made time for it. So it stems from there, because I realized, at 35 years old, wow, like this is real. This is totally possible that next week or next month or next year, I could be gone. And what would I have left behind? What would be different? What would be important? And would I have accomplished really anything that I really wanted? And that led me to this next question. The next question is listen, let's say you woke up this morning, and I'm recording this on May 15th, 2019. I'm not sure when you'll catch this in the future, when we're going to release it, but it's May 15th. And let's assume today you went to the doctor and you found something in your body that didn't seem right. You went to the doctor, and your doctor ran a bunch of tests, and he comes back later this afternoon and says, listen, this is all the things that are wrong with you. And I can tell you that exactly 10 years from now, you're going to die and pass away. So on May 15th, 2029, you're going to be ripped away from the world. You're going to be gone. You're going to be dead. You're going to leave behind some sort of legacy, some sort of, whether it's cash, whether it's income, whether it's retirement assets, whether it's a business, whether it's real estate assets, but also the impact that you had on other people, on their emotional state, their mental state. Were you there for them when they needed you? What are people going to say 10 years from now when you're gone? So imagine you get the diagnosis, you get the doctor, he's got a crystal ball, and he tells you exactly 10 years from now today, you're going to be gone, you're going to be dead, and you're not going to have another opportunity. And the doctor also said, well, by the way, when you go home, you cannot tell anybody, you cannot tell anyone what you've just learned. So you're not allowed to tell your loved ones, you're not allowed to tell your friends, you're not allowed to tell your family. You and only you know that 10 years from now, you're going to be gone. So what I encourage you to do right now is take out a piece of paper and a pen. If you're driving and hearing this in your car, literally pull off to the side of the road right now. Pull off to the side of the road, pull into a parking lot, grab a pen, grab a piece of paper, grab your notes on your iPhone or your phone that you're on, and start to write down right now, 10 years from now, you're gone. What are all the things that you want to get done in the next 10 years? What relationships do you want to repair? What new relationships do you want to make? What events do you want to attend? What places do you want to go? What experiences do you want to have with your family, with your friends? What are extraordinary, unusual experiences that you want to have? Foods that you want to try? People that you want to be around? Maybe it's traveling to some distant land, skiing on some crazy mountain, whether it's maybe a helicopter ride over the Grand Canyon. What are all the things that 10 years from now you want to check off that list? Think about it, write it down. Think about what's important to you. And when you think about these things, I think about them in a couple different buckets. First of all, I think about, like most of us do, about relationships. So one of the buckets is, what kind of relationships do you want to have with your spouse, your partner, your kids, your parents, your great-grandparents, your kids and your grandkids? What does that relationship look like? Think about those relationships, because at the end of the day, that's really the only thing that matters, is the people that you come around and the people that you talk to. So relationships, that's the first category that I think about, is what kind of impact do I want to have on the other people that are important to me. The second thing I think about is experiences. What experiences do I want to have? What places do I want to go? What foods do I want to try? What ball games, sporting events, trips, what kind of places do you want to visit? Maybe you're into art, maybe you're into hiking, maybe you're into the ocean, maybe you're into the water, maybe it's a river cruise, maybe it's a cruise to Alaska, maybe it's skiing, maybe it's hang gliding, maybe it's jumping out of a plane. What exactly is it? What kind of experiences do you want to have? And who do you want to share those with? The third category I think of is legacy, which a lot of it is down to finances. It's about money. It's about building a business. It's about building your assets, your real estate portfolio. What kind of legacy, financial legacy, do you want to leave behind? Do you want to make sure that maybe all of your kids, grandkids, and their kids all go to college and it's all paid for by the assets that you pass on to them? And how much money specifically is it? If the cost of college today is $50,000 per year times 4 years, let's maybe say 5 years. Some kids go 5 years or more. If you're like my brother Mark, he went 9 years to undergraduate school. But what does that look like for you? Do you want to pass along, right? And so what kind of financial legacy is it that you want to leave behind to other people? So for a lot of people, it's those kind of three buckets. It's your relationships, your experiences, and then your financial legacy. And through those three things, relationships, experiences, and financial legacy, we can have a massive impact on the people that you're around today and over the next 10 years, and then the people that you're going to leave a legacy behind for them in the future. So think about that. What does that look like? What do you want to get done in the next 10 years? Now, let me ask you the same question. And let me ask you that question a little bit slightly differently. Let's say you're at that same doctor appointment this afternoon, and the doctor tells you, you have a terminal illness. The good news is you've got exactly, instead of 10 years, you've got exactly 1 year. 1 year. 1 year, 365 days, and on this 365th day, you're gone. You know the day, you know the time, you're not going to wake up again, that your time on this earth is over. And so in the next year, all of a sudden, you're probably feeling a slightly larger sense of urgency, because in 10 years, still sort of feels way off in the distance. But 1 year from now, wow, that's fast. I mean, I can't, like my daughter Juliana is 10, and when she was 9, it just seemed like yesterday. But at the same time, it seems really far away. Like, I can't remember all the things she was doing when she was 9, when she was in 4th grade. Now she's in 5th grade. But I do remember a lot of things that we accomplished. I remember taking 3 weeks off this summer and going down to Florida and just having a great time at the parks and Disney and, being at the beach and just being 3 weeks away from everything and everyone and basically unplugging. I remember a lot of their sports games and, volleyball and football and basketball. I remember spending time with my dad, who has advanced Parkinson's, all these things. But in 1 year, all of a sudden, that time frame being compressed down to 1 year, what are all the things that you want to get done in 1 year? 1 year, 1 year. Imagine 1 year from now you're gone. No longer on this earth. Think about, again, in those three categories, relationships. Think about the category of exactly experiences. What experiences is it that you want to accomplish? Where do you want to go in the next 12 months? Because now you don't have 10 years to do everything. You got to be really, really purposeful. You got to be really, really intent driven to make sure that in 1 year you get, you can't just vacation, right? For every month for the next year. Just have experiences. The third piece of that is financial legacy. You see, in 1 year, if you really put your head down, you can have a tremendous financial legacy that you can leave behind. 1 year of buying and accumulating real estate assets, 1 year of growing your business, 1 year of growing your e-com company, 1 year of being an entrepreneur and growing your business, knowing that 1 year from now it's all over. I bet you'd have a whole new sense of urgency, a whole new sense of purpose, a whole new sense of accomplishment, because you only have 1 year to go. You'd also, with 1 year, you'd also probably sleep a lot less. You'd probably party a lot less. Like party goofing around. Like if you're going to party, you're going to have purposeful, meaningful time with those people that you care for, those family, those friends, those relationships. In 1 year, that's all you've got. You can't just have like 1 or 2 or 3 nights that you're like, I just went to sleep early. I watched too much television. I ate too many Cheetos. I drank too many, Diet Cokes, and I ate too much ice cream. Like you wouldn't have those days anymore if you knew that you only had 365 days to go. Like if I had 365 days, I would put up on my wall 1, 2, 3, all the way through 365, and I would start crossing them off, because then you knew that you only had, let's say, 360 days left, 340 days left, 298 days left, 256 days left, and it's counting backwards, right? And you're not gonna take that extra time. You're not gonna take that extra time to do things that are not meaningful. You're gonna be purposeful with every single day, every single night, and you're going to make sure that you accomplish those things. So in 1 year, what relationships would you want to create, cultivate, and repair? What relationships would you want to nurture? What have you learned on this earth that you'd want to pass along to your kids or grandkids or your nieces and nephews, to the rest of the world? Would you create, YouTube videos that you could keep forever and archive, that you could pass along with all the lessons that you've learned? So think about it. If you're driving right now, pull your car over to the side. Do it right now while you're listening to me. Go ahead, pull your car over to the side, turn your car off. Pull into the local gas station, the local Bob Evans, the local, Applebee's, whatever. Just pull into the parking lot, wherever you're at, and get out a piece of paper and write that down. So in 1 year from now, what exactly would you want to have accomplished? Right? Again, without being able to tell your friends, without being able to tell your family that you're going to be gone in 1 year, what would you want to have? Relationships, experiences, and financial legacy. Now, let me ask the same question one more time, slightly different. Let's assume you went to the doctor's office again this morning, and this afternoon they came back with a diagnosis, and you said, "Hey, doc, what's wrong?" He said, "Well, I can't really tell what's wrong, but you've got 1 week to live. You've got 1 week left. And 1 week from now, you're going to be gone. You're going to be healthy for the next week. You're not going to have pains. You're not going to have suffering. But 1 week from now, you're gone. Disappeared off the face of the earth. And you have 1 week. You've got 24 hours times the next 7 days, and that's all you've got. Now, what would you want to accomplish in the next week? You see, in a week's time, you don't really have a lot of opportunity to create financial legacy, do you? You don't have a lot of time to create, buying assets and building businesses, and buying real estate assets and building a portfolio. It's impossible in a week to build any kind of meaningful portfolio or to have big change in a business inside of a week and then leave that behind to your family. It's nearly impossible. So what it really comes down to is the relationships and the experiences, because that's what's going to live on forever. So imagine this afternoon, you got this news. What are you going to do for the next 7 days and 7 nights? You see, if you only had 24 hours a day for the next 7 days, would you even bother to sleep at all? Could you just make it for the next 7 days, staying up 24 hours a day, doing everything that you'd want to do, talking with the people that you want to talk to, having coffee, breakfast, lunch, dinner with the people that you want, having experiences, going on a trip, doing what you can, squeezing in as many things as you possibly can for the next 7 days. You know, if you have elderly parents who are aging, how much more time would you spend with them? If you have kids or grandkids that you're not spending enough time with, would you, just keep them up all night watching movies and having experiences and going places? And when they finally crashed out, because again, they didn't know that you were going to be gone in a week because you had to keep it to yourself. 1 week from now, when they did sleep, would you sleep or would you just stay up? Watch them, pray over them, think about them, write them love letters and notes, create videos for them, pass along all your wisdom to them. You see, when I was diagnosed with cancer on September 12th, 2011, all of this became not just an exercise, not just theory, not just something. It became reality. That this was all absolutely, positively could be something that I was about to go through. And so I had to be really clear about what the things that I wanted. And so think about the things that you dream of having. When you do this exercise, what are some of the things that you dream of having in your life? Meaning like material things. If you've got 10 years, what are some things that you dream of having in 10 years? New house, new car, exotic, exotic Porsche, exotic Lamborghini, house on the beach. Don't limit yourself to what you think is possible today, because if it's possible for somebody else, it's possible for you. So what are the things you dream of having? Maybe you dream of having your college education and some sort of trust that you leave behind for your kids and your grandkids. So what are some of the things that you dream of having? Also, what are some things that you dream of being? Like, who do you want to be for other people? Do you want to be a mentor? Do you want to be inspirational to other people? Do you want to help people who have, live in, a third world country that have, not a lot of resources, not a lot of money? Do you want to go travel to be on missions and help those kind of people? Do you want to be a more loving parent? Do you want to be a better dancer? Maybe you've always wanted to take up dancing lessons. Maybe you've always wanted to be amazing at computer programming. Maybe you've always wanted to be a world-class real estate entrepreneur, real estate investor. What do you dream of being? What is the bigger, better version of you? What does that look like? Okay. And then finally, again, the question is what do you dream of being? What do you dream of having? And lastly is, what do you dream of doing? We talked about experiences, right? So these are just three different ways to, when we talk about relationships, what do you dream about relationships? Another way to ask that question is, what do you dream about being for other people? When we talk about experiences, it's another way to ask that is, what do you dream about doing that you haven't done yet? And then third is, what are all the things that you want to leave behind as a financial legacy for the people that you care about? And that's, what do you dream of having? How do you dream of having X amount of dollars in your bank account, X size of a business, X amount of legacy left behind, right? Having, being, and doing, relationships, experiences, and financial legacy. You see, for me, it's amazing. I've spoken in front of thousands and thousands of people. We've held, well over 15, 20, 30, I can't even remember, large conferences in the last 10 years, about 2 or 3 per year for the last 10 years. And it's amazing to me when I talk to crowds, when I ask people the question, like, what do you really want? Like, what's a bigger, better version of yourself? Oftentimes, there's just this blank stare on their face. And so for as much bitching and complaining and moaning that I hear from, people about their businesses or their relationships, about all the bitching and complaining about this current state of their life, when I ask them what do they really want, they almost never know the answer. And so the world is just sort of pushing them down this current of life, or pushing them like the wind in different directions. And they're not like a statue. They're not planting themselves in the ground and saying, this is my statue. This is my flag. This is who I am. This is where I want to go. And I'm not going to let the current of life or the winds of life push me in one direction or another. I'm going to be very, very purposeful about where I want to go. And so if you've had, trouble sort of concocting what this looks like in your mind and concocting this in your life, go through this exercise. Think about, again, what are the things that you want to have relationship-wise? What are the things that you dream of experiencing? What are the things you dream of having and the financial legacy that you want to live? What are the things that you think you can get done in the next 10 years? Do it in that exercise. Then redo it on a new piece of paper. What are the things that you dream of experiencing and the relationships that you have and the financial legacy that you think you can leave behind in 1 year? And then what does that look like in the next 7 days? What does that look like in the next week? Because ultimately, wherever you arrive, to me, when I run this exercise, when I do this in my own mind, the things that I think about that are going to happen to me in the next week, that truly is what's most important. It's the extra time that I would spend with my wife, Lisa. It's the extra time I would spend with my kids. It's the extra time I would spend with my aging parents. It's the extra time I would spend with my brothers and their families, and my Uncle Ben and my Aunt Karen and my Aunt Dinah, my Aunt Francie, my 92-year-old grandmother, Gigi Fran, 92 years old. It's the extra time I would spend with them. That was what I would focus on in the next week. But in a year, I could do some serious damage when it comes to creating some financial legacy for my wife and kids. I could have more and leave more to them in a year. 10 years from now, forget it. The amount of things that we can accomplish in 10 years is amazing. I was at Unleash the Power Within, and Tony Robbins talked about we give ourselves a little bit too much expectation of what we think we can accomplish in the next year or two. Like the amount of things that we think we want to accomplish in the next year or two is often like way too much. We'll never get it all done. But the amount of things we can accomplish in maybe the next 10 or 20 years is massive. It's massive how much we can accomplish in the next 10 or 20 years. And I firmly believe that we overcommit and I want to be a multi-billionaire in the next 2 years. Okay, great. Good for you. If you create the next Facebook or you create the next Uber or you create the next Google and you hit that absolute unicorn business, you can be a billionaire in the next 2 to 5 years. Good for you. For 99.9999% of the world population, that won't happen. But what you can accomplish over the next 5 or 10 years is amazing. The amount of things that I've accomplished in the last just 7 or 8 years since I got diagnosed is amazing. But if you add that up and just say, what have I accomplished this year? Maybe it didn't move the needle as much. But when you add it up this year, next year, and the year after, and the year after, and the year after, and you compile that over the next 5 or 10 years, what we've gotten done in the last 10 years is truly, truly remarkable. And so go through that exercise today. Don't waste time. Don't think, I'll come back to this, or I'm listening to this in my car. I'm listening to this at the gym. Right? Do it right now. Right? Right now. Do it right now. Take some time aside, do it now while it's on the top of your mind, and make that a priority, and then share it with the people that you love the most. Share it with them. Because when you speak it into the world, it becomes real. When you speak it into the world, it becomes a reality. When you speak it into the world, you're now accountable to what you've said. Okay? So start with that. That's step number 1 of the peak performance success formula. And I'm really excited to deliver this all to you. I've been around for the last 40 years, really the last 25 years. I became basically an entrepreneur watching my father when I was 17, 18 years old. I've been to dozens, if not hundreds and hundreds of conferences. I've heard amazing speakers talk about all the different things they do to form up their, success formula, whatever that is. This is what's worked for me, and I hope it's, has a big impact on your life. Now, I look forward to jumping in with you to the next episode. And in the next episode, we're going to talk specifically about having strong enough reasons. So come back to the next episode of Accelerated Investor, and let's talk a little bit more about that. Thanks for being here.
You've been listening to Josh Cantwell and the Accelerated Investor Podcast. Leave a comment on our iTunes channel and let us know what you want to learn next or who you'd like Josh to interview. While you're there, give us a 5-star rating and make sure to subscribe so you can be the first to hear new episodes. Follow Josh Cantwell and his companies, Strategic Real Estate Coach and Freeland Ventures, on all social media platforms now, and stay up to date on new training and investment opportunities to start your journey toward the lifestyle you've always dreamed of. Apply for coaching at joshcantwellcoaching.com.